So turns out, more than 40% of the actions we make on a daily basis come from our habits. And compounded over a long period of time, this can either be great or can be terrible if we have bad habits. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through one of my previous days, and we're gonna go step by step, and I'm gonna give 23 different recommendations so we can start living a healthier life. And if you're new here, my name is Mike, and we're all about exploring how to become a healthier version of ourselves. All right, let's jump right into the video. So for starters, a great day starts the night before. What I used to do is just wait until I completely wanted to pass out. Usually that would be around 1 in the morning or sometimes 2. But what I now do is I give myself a bedtime. Usually it's 10 o'clock. Sometimes in the worst case, it's pushed to 11 o'clock if I'm not really tired, but I stay consistent with it. And that allows me to get 8, or actually oftentimes I've been getting 9 hours of sleep. The key thing here is we actually want to be planning for at least 9 hours in bed, because time in bed is very different than time asleep. There's a certain amount of efficiency when we have coming to sleeping. So how long does it take us to fall asleep? Are we waking up a couple times? So planning for 9 hours is going to be a good go-to. So after I went to bed at 1 or 2 in the morning, I would then still force myself to get up at 6 in the morning with an obnoxious ass alarm. And it was because I subscribed to the rise and grind mentality and that I'll sleep when I'm dead. Not a really good way of approaching work and being productive, and I'm not really able to be as effective throughout my days. Versus what I do now is I just let my body naturally wake up. When I'm following my bedtime, I usually wake up around 8 a.m., sometimes a little bit earlier, sometimes a little later, but I know my body can get enough sleep, and I wake up and I don't feel groggy at all, which is a huge plus. Again, since I've been doing this, I value my sleep so much now. It is like the most important thing to me. By the way, before I was getting like less than 6 hours of sleep every night for a very, very long time. Then, after waking up and being groggy as heck, I went over to instinctively reach for my phone and started doom scrolling, which would usually last for at least 30 minutes until I made myself feel bad to continue on with my morning routine. What I recommend instead, and I do now, is I just leave my phone in another room, or I try to hide it and put it out of plain sight. This allows me to kind of have the morning without notifications and various inputs. And it's going good so far. I'm loving it. And then instead of sprawling around inside for the rest of the morning, really doing nothing, I like to go outside as soon as possible and soak in some sun. This really helps kind of ensure that I have a good circadian rhythm and my body knows when to do certain things. For example, when to be alert during the day and when to wind down later in the night. Also, on occasion, I'll also go do some grounding work where I just take off my shoes in the grass and just feel the dirt and stuff like that. There's a bunch of benefits that come with grounding yourself with the electromagnetism of the earth. Pretty cool stuff. Essentially, we're like batteries and we're recharging ourselves. But I'll leave some stuff down below if you're interested in that. And then I'd usually have breakfast. And honestly, I usually wasn't very hungry in the morning. It was more so just me thinking, okay, everyone says that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, which it's not. And I might as well have some breakfast. So it was usually a crap ton of carbs. We're talking just toast with nut butter. That's usually the go-to, and with some coffee, of course. So what I now prefer to do is I fast right through breakfast, and this is great because I can get some more time in autophagy, which is what happens when you're fasting. Essentially, it's just cellular cleanup and giving your body a bit of a break. And not to mention, in the morning is the peak time for our insulin to spike. Managing our insulin is very, very important. If you look at almost every disease out there, it's all linked to insulin resistance, which is a very common situation that's basically happening with people that follow the SAD diet, which is the standard American diet. And instead, because I'm skipping it, I'm ensuring that I'm not getting that really high insulin spike, which is a lot more common first thing in the morning, and I'm better able to regulate that. As mentioned, with breakfast, I would be having coffee, but it wouldn't be just normal coffee, it'd be coffee with milk, and usually it was instant coffee because I didn't know what was good. God damn, it's the coffee. It's easy, it's convenient, but the taste is just not there. Anyways, I'd use milk to make it taste better. But what I like to now do instead is I just have a black coffee, and if I'm feeling hungry, which is not very often, I make it a bulletproof version by adding a tablespoon of ghee and also a tablespoon of MCT oil. And not to mention, when you're actually doing this, you can ensure that the benefits of autophagy, which is what's happening when you're fasting, is going to continue. And then, boys gotta stay clean, so I would go take a piping hot shower, and my skin oftentimes would just feel dry as heck afterwards, literally like sandpaper. But now instead, I'm doing a cold shower. It's helping wake me up in the morning, and also helping my mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell where energy is made, through this idea of hormesis, which is small amounts of stress, helps us become stronger in the long term. Again, moderate amounts of stress, don't overdo it. Then when I'm in the shower, course washing my hair basically every single day, and I was using Dove Men, and I would just throw that stuff on. Little did I know that I was putting a ton of chemicals in my hair and on my skin, but honestly, I had no idea. I just did what was easy. Now at least I'm more so going every 2 weeks without shampooing my hair. Usually what I do is before I go to the barber, I just wash my hair with a brand called Sukin that doesn't have any chemicals, and I purely just do that because I don't want my barber to feel a bit of grease and him get nice and freaked out. But if I was getting less haircuts, I'd probably be doing it once a month. And by the way, the benefit of not washing your hair a bunch is helping us actually be dirtier, which is going to be great for the microbes that are living on every surface of our body, or like other people know as the gut microbiome. That's going to be the densest part of microbial communities in our body, and by being dirtier, we're increasing the amount of microbe diversity throughout our body, therefore helping them thrive. Okay, so now we get out of the shower. I'm a sweaty boy. I sweat a lot, and I got some odor when I don't use the good stuff. But before, again, back to the Dove Men, I was loyal. I would spray on a crap ton. So lots of aluminum going in, blocking all those pores. Honestly, it didn't work like crazy, and I was finding that I had to use more and more and more over time. So what I've now at least done is I've gone through the 2 to 3 week pain period where I smelled like a troll and the natural deodorant didn't really work, but I'm now using this brand called Kapari, and I use the either tropical smell or I think it's like a sandalwood smell, and it uses coconuts or charcoal to actually mask your odor and help you from not sweating. It's working for me, and it's working for me, I feel like it should work for y'all. By the way, this is not just for men, it's for men and for women. You choose the scent that you want. I would just personally advise not going with the scent-free version. Didn't really work too well for me. Also, if you can't get Kapari where you are specifically, I'm going to link an article down below where Dave Asprey tried a bunch of different natural deodorants, so you can hopefully find something that's accessible for you and that works for your specific case. That's exactly how I found the one that I'm using at the moment. Alright, next you're going to hear about my huge addiction to YouTube and how I literally had zero self-control and was watching like 3 hours a day. Anyways, instinctively would just pull open the phone and just start watching a couple videos. It was, of course, the OGs, Matt D'Avella, Ali Abdaal, Peter McKinnon. They're all awesome. Loved watching their content. But time would fly. Now, instead, I am just forcing myself to do just a minute of learning. And right now, it's usually language learning, but I would recommend reading a book or anything like that. Also, keep it to 1 minute. It'll usually go a couple more, but by making it low-hanging fruit and making it as easy as possible for you to actually do the habit, you will do the habit, versus making it like, I need to do 10 minutes or 30 minutes, and you'll think about it and you'll be like, nah, I'll do YouTube instead. Now, at this point, it's time to start the day and get to doing some work. Before, I'd open up my computer and immediately become a firefighter. So Slack would open up and email would open up and I would just start going to town. And I feel like this was really because of FOMO, like fear of missing out. I wanted to make sure I was always on top of stuff, and I was incentivized and taught to do this from having a social media addiction as well. But anyways, so I'd spend the next hour or two kind of just dealing with that, and everyone else's problems or stuff would now become my problems and stuff to do for the day. But what I now like to do instead is the mornings are maker time. I learned this from Tim Ferriss, but it's just focusing on things that have output in your life. That can be making videos, doing some design work, some script writing, anything that's creating stuff and using the knowledge that I have in my head and putting it into good use. Oh, and a good thing to mention here, there is no distractions at all during this time, period. You can see my other video of how I made basically my phone addiction go away, and I have literally made it impossible for me to have distractions. Check out that video if you'd like to do the same thing. And during my workday, I would usually be sitting down, hunched over a laptop for the entire day. And what I'd really like to do instead now is flip-flop between sitting and standing with a standing desk that I got from IKEA. It's a crank version, works fine. I wish I got the automatic one, so beware if you want to get one yourself. Definitely go with that. The presets are lovely. And also having a monitor so I'm not looking down all the time. I'm looking up. I need to fix my posture at some point, but it is helping. I have less pain. And also, while I was working, I was drinking an insane amount of coffee for the morning, the afternoon, the evening. It didn't stop. Why? Because who doesn't love the damn taste of coffee? It's delicious and it's easily accessible. But honestly, it was screwing up my sleep. I was anxious. It was just way too much. What I now like to do instead to make sure I'm hydrated throughout the day is to use this 1 liter Hydro Flask. Bigger is better to remove the amount of times that I need to actually fill this bottle. Also, drinking through this, I can literally drink this in 2-3 gulps if I want. You just get used to drinking more amounts of water, which is a good thing. So there's just less friction. You're gonna get that 3 liters in. Also, I like to only stick with metal or glass. Plastic can kind of be a little complicated when stuff heats up with the BPA and microplastics. I'd prefer to stick away from that if possible. Alright, next, it's lunchtime and your boy's gotta eat, and I've come down from my carb crash of energy, so I'm having more carbs in the form of a big ass sandwich with some processed deli meats. But what I like to do instead now is I just go for eggs. They are a great source of protein and fats, and then I put on some olive oil, sometimes some MCT oil, and add in a bunch of veg. Usually the go-to is kimchi. It's easy, already ready-made for me. Or a new thing that I have recently added to my life, replacing Huel, which is Health Code. It's a meal replacement that, if you look at the ingredients, they are magnificent. There is little to no trade-offs there. The main trade-off is going to be that it's not real food. Ideally, in every circumstance, real food is better, but look, we're busy and oftentimes I can't make a perfect meal. I just need something that is not going to be junk food and not going to be takeout and break the bank. So this is always going to be the best solution for me, at least in those kind of scenarios. And what I now like to do is keep a bunch of it on hand so I never really have an excuse and I don't feel bad for myself after making a poopy decision. All right, so now it's time to get back into work again, and I would just be feeling tired. I was in this afternoon slump, didn't have a lot of willpower energy. But anyways, I knew I had to work, so I would start trying to work, but usually it'd be half-assed working because I would have my phone right beside me, or I would have YouTube really easily accessible. So I'd be doing a bit of a research paper for school, and then, I deserve a break. Watch one video. One video turns into a couple videos. That cycle repeats over and over and over, and I really wasn't able to get anything done. What I now do instead is what you guys know. It's just freedom. I'm not able to use YouTube until later into the afternoon, or any social media or Amazon or various stuff like that. and it's set on a recurring cycle, so I don't even have to start these sessions. It's automatic sessions that happen without my control, and I literally can't stop them. Also, a good thing to kind of note is with your phone that's going to be in the other room, and also with your desktop, you want to take off all of the distractions. So any of the notifications and stuff like that that are going to come up on the screen or make sounds, cut them out. All right, so workday's continuing. I'm alone in my house, grinding in my room, and getting pretty lonely. It's oftentimes a very lonely experience. Something new I've found recently is working with other people and providing accountability to one another in Pomodoro sessions via an app called FocusMate. Gosh, I love it so much. It really helps me during the days where I just don't want to do anything. I just book a bunch of sessions and I'm good to go. By the way, if you want to try this out, everyone gets 3 free sessions every single week, so I would really recommend just giving it a try. It's completely free, right? And also as a side note, it's a cool way to meet new people. Like I just met a new person in Verona in Italy recently, and we exchanged WhatsApp numbers. Pretty cool. All right, so still working, but I'm getting a little hungry, again, because the carbs have gone away, energy has gone away. What I'll do instead is I would go get a bowl of fruit or a bowl of nuts. What I now do instead is, because I'm having a fatty first meal, honestly, that fuel is lasting much longer and I'm not having that carb crash. Like, I don't feel hungry at all and my energy is way more sustained. So that just whole situation is just eliminated. And in an ideal world, we want to be focusing on having real meals instead of doing little bits of snacking. Yes, the work is continuing. Yes, I am still procrastinating. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, right? I told you that you're really going to see my crazy social media and YouTube addiction. Again, I would be going back to a binge. The willpower would be like super low at this point in the day. But now, luckily, because I'm fueling my body better, sleeping enough, recovering, I seriously do have enough energy. And I've started doing some exercises that I actually enjoy doing. For me specifically, going to the gym is like the best thing for me. So I'm going 3 to 4 times a week. And what I'll do is around 5 o'clock, I'll just go to the gym. Luckily, they're open now. Everything is getting back to normal, but before I was doing at-home workouts or using the X3 bar. If you've seen that video, you know what I'm talking about. All right, so last meal here of the day. We're at dinner time, and again, more carbs. I really can't believe, like thinking back to it, like how much carbs, like specifically processed carbs, were just a staple in my diet. So go-to was always just pasta. It was simple, knew how to cook it, could cook the pasta in like 8 minutes, and then just whip up some ground beef, put in some tomato sauce from a can. It was easy, it was good to go, and I knew how to cook it, and adding a crap ton of cheese worked. It tastes good. And now instead I've replaced that meal with some grass-fed meats that I've found from a local butcher shop that will just ship it to my place. Or if I was still in North America, I would be using Butcher Box. That's a great alternative. It's all pasture-raised animals and grass-fed cows, which is the best because the quality of the meat, like the quality of the animal's life, and it was able to live its normal life, is going to determine the quality of the macronutrients, so the fats, the proteins that your body is actually using for fuel. Also, an important thing to note here is the ingredients are very important and the quality of your food, but at the same time, we want to be making sure that we're cooking it well and not burning the heck out of everything. Before, I would always want to make sure it's cooked because I was scared of salmonella. Luckily, with pasture-raised and grass-fed animals, you don't really have to worry about that as much, luckily. And when it comes to vegetables for the meal, they're always going to be raw or al dente, and I'm just kind of grabbing a couple. When I'm at the grocery store, it's funny, I literally have like a huge ass basket, and I'm trying to grab as many veg as possible. They always laugh at me. I think it's hilarious. And a couple other things I want to mention is I've replaced ionized table salt with sea salt. I'm also trying to find new recipes quite often. I freaking love pesto, and I just realized how easy it is to make it yourself and not have sunflower oil in it and replace it with olive oil. And yo, it's like so easy if you have a blender and is like delicious as heck. I'm gonna include a recipe down below, and a great way to get in some good fats. And the last thing I want to kind of mention here is be aware that you're not eating 3 hours before bed. I used to do some like late night snacking, and that really messes up your sleep. Again, because you're digesting while you're sleeping, which your body should be focusing on other things. So I make sure that I'm only having water or some tea to kind of wind down for the night. Now that the food's ready, I'm ready to actually consume it. So I would open up my laptop, go right to YouTube and start watching some videos, and kind of as a secondary action would just be shoveling the food down my throat. I wasn't really chewing very well, and it was more like a chew, swallow, shove again, chew, swallow, and repeat. Now instead, I'm focusing on just eating my food, trying to enjoy it more, and also slowly chewing and trying to break it down. It really does help if you enjoy the food that you're eating. If it's bland and flavorless, I get why I was watching YouTube and stuff like that, because like there's no really like enjoyment with eating the food at all. This entire thing is just going to help us have a better relationship with food and also pull more nutrients from the meals that we're eating. Next, because I procrastinated for the entire day, I'm going back to my half-ass working, or if there's no deadline up close, I'm just going to watch more YouTube videos or kind of just numb out my brain a little bit. And this is going up all the way until bedtime, just a bunch of blue light smacking me in the face even when the sun is down. To replace this and ensure that my body knows when it's nighttime and daytime, and to properly release melatonin so I actually get tired, I'm using blue light blockers, the red funky ones, when the sun actually goes down to let my body know that it's dark in my surroundings. Also, I'm turning off all of the lights in my house and using a red headlight lamp to read some books and having no screen time an hour before bed. It's an interesting sight. It really is. Even me seeing it as a bystander, I'm just like, yo, this dude's some alien man or something like that. Another great way to do the same thing if you don't want to wear a red headlight lamp is to get a couple Philips Hue lights, set them on a schedule to go red and to dim at a certain time, whatever according to your bedtime. Last but not least, I would smoke some weed almost every day before bed. Yeah, during university I had my dark times. Not something I'm proud of. Definitely messed up my lungs a lot, and I'm paying the price for them now. Now instead, I've got that concrete evening routine that I mentioned to you before, and I'm just going, reading a book, chilling, doing some meditation, icing my balls to increase testosterone production, doing a little bit of morning pages to kind of get some journaling down and all the ideas out of my head. Stuff like that. But anyways, that was one of my entire old days and how I've gone about trying to fix it and improve myself so I can have a healthier life over a long period of time. All right, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it and you got some value out of that. I was trying to be as practical and applicable as possible. Anyways, if you're interested in more content like this, be sure to check out this video here about my morning routine. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.